So what we'll be doing today is trying to install these coilovers on the other side of my crown. We'll also replace the rear drop links and the interior bar bushes. The coilovers are Goa HSD, fully adjustable with dampening. I've done the other side yesterday just to see what it was and what's involved. This is the OEM suspension with lowering springs on it, as you can see, completely destroyed, including massive scrape on the shock body. I'm not sure what that is from. Yeah, it's 2003 Crown Athlete. Take you guys through the steps to actually install them, just in case anyone is interested. See how it goes. First step is obviously jacking the car up. So what I'll do is I'll use the front toe point here, jack the front of the car up, and then we'll move to the rear, jack it up at the rear jacking point, put something under so we have the whole side jacked up. It does look pretty low already, but it has the lowering springs and the born shock absorbers, so we'll just deal with it as it comes. Right, so at this stage, you got your car jacked up. This is the rear, obviously. To get the shock out, you'll need to do a few things. First one is going to be this bolt here. Second, drop link bolt here. So remove the drop link bolt, get off. And if you're lucky, once you undo the 3 bolts from the boot, show you the inside, you'll be able to pull it out by pushing this whole assembly down. If not, then you might have to undo this bolt, remove it, and then push the whole arm down. Depends. In my case, the springs are lowered, so the whole shock assembly is pretty much loose, so you should be able to remove it without. Other than that, that's pretty much it for the rear. Let's go to the front. On the front, it's a bit more involved. So this is your shock absorber, right? For a few bits you need to do, you need to undo this crown, undo the bolt, and punch out the ball joint. I'll probably require another nut on here and a few hits in here to just pop it out. Once that is out, you can then pull the whole arm back, undo this nut that holds the, I presume that's an ABS sensor. Once that is undone, you can go inside, and inside it, you got this one bolt holding the whole shock absorber. To undo that, struggle to remove this bolt because of the drop link, so you have to undo the drop link, pop it out, push it away, and then you should be able to knock this bolt out. Once that is out, you can then undo the 3 nuts in the engine bay, push the whole thing down, remove it. See how we'll go with that. These are pretty much the tools you'll need. You'll need some wrenches, some adjustable wrenches, ratchets, impact sockets, possibly a bottle jack to help you, some extensions, impact gun if you have one. If not, use your hands. Big hammer, that'll help knock the ball joint out. And a socket set, and some Allen keys to hold the drop link in. Inside the engine bay, you got 3 bolts. You got 1, 2, 3. The passenger side, in UK, you got this little box. It's also attached to this bracket, so once you remove the nut, this will pop off to you. That's to release the shock. The rest of it, so as we can see here, top joint released. This allows the movement of the whole assembly. Drop link released. The shock is now out. Drop link is being a pain in the ass. Rusty. That's where you usually stick the Allen key in, but mine's rusted out. Yeah, should be able to remove the shock soon. See what happens. I'll undo the top nuts now, because the rest in here is done. Right, so at this stage the coilover is installed. A couple of things I may have forgotten to say is the drop links and the anti-roll bar. There. What I've done last time is I jacked one side of the car up, obviously, which applied a lot of pressure to this, which meant it basically was pulling it up, right? That's basically the job of anti-roll bar, to keep the suspension flat. So it's pulling massively up, right? So removing the drop links is extremely hard. So what I suggest you guys do is jack the other side up to keep it flat. As it stands, the coilovers are installed. Usually get a bracket like that, depends on your coilover set. The bracket is just to hold the ABS sensor wire and reuse the original bolt, and just clamp around here. When adjusting the coilovers, don't touch the preload, just make sure the rings are tight enough so you don't undo, and adjust your height using the, obviously, the crown nut is back in with a securing pin. Everything's in place. My drop links are shot completely, grease is falling out of them, so that needs to be replaced. But that's next video. From that point of view, it's assembled. At the top here, as I mentioned, this funny bracket, so I don't have enough threads on my new coilovers to actually adjust it. Actually tighten up. It is being held by one other nut right here, so it's not gonna really fall. I'm just gonna leave it, I think. The dampening in my case, I'm just gonna leave it the softest for now and go from these nuts, tighten them up obviously. And here's what I mean about the side being jacked up. In this case I just jacked up from the toe point, so it's flat. The tire's in there. It's flat and actually keeps the anti-roll bar straight. So that's the front suspension. Let's move on to the rear. Right, so in the rear now, this side it's got a few more things, but it's not as difficult to actually remove. So on the passenger side you're gonna have a drop link that will need to be removed, but in this case on the passenger side it also has a headlight sensor, so make sure you undo that. But I'm very careful with it because this is plastic, it can break easy. Then we've got one bolt for the shock absorber, so we'll undo that. You've got two bolts here supporting this extension or whatever arm of the shock absorber, and inside you've got 3 more bolts. Once you undo all of those, basically you should be able to push this whole assembly down and pull it out. But that depends on your car. In my case, it obviously has got lower suspension, so the springs are shorter. As you can see, they're pretty loose already. Yeah, they're pretty loose already. So what that means is basically it doesn't have as much pressure as standard suspension will. And if you do have a lot of pressure on it, you might have to remove this nut. This will then allow this whole arm assembly to move down, and then you'll be able to pull the shock out. Basically makes it much easier. Yeah, let's crack on with it. I'll try to get some video of it, but it's difficult to get a decent angle in here. Worst case now I'll just show you the final result and see what I learn from there. Let's go. Now obviously once we disassemble the bits in the rear, so we've got those removed. We've got those 3 left. We've got that removed. We've got the drop link bush removed, sitting there waiting to remove this arm. See, it's pretty loose at this stage, but we need to undo those bolts. To get to them, what you gotta do is remove this liner inside the boot. So you only got 2 clips. You got one here, one here, and then you should be able to fold it away. Basically, because the nuts are right under this, it's pretty loose as you can see. Alright, so at this stage, this is off. I did have to remove this bolt. It's a alignment bolt, so if you do remove it, keep in mind you'll have to get alignment for sure. The rest of it's in. These gonna be unused. Depending on coilovers, again, might have a bracket or something in mind on. So a few of these require decent torque. Make sure this one is torqued up properly. A few of guys will do. Same with that. This is a drop-in bolt, but it also holds the headlight sensor. So make sure that's all together. Yeah, from that point of view, it's all in place. The car will obviously need an alignment after this. Again, as for the front, don't adjust the preload. Height is suggested using these. I set mine both the same front and back. I mean both rear sides. Front needs to settle before I set up. In the boot, these are on again. Make sure you throw them up properly, don't leave them loose. Just adjust the dampening. Again, leave it soft as more from there from my point of view. Yeah, once that's all done, just assemble, what's that? The wheel, the boot carpet, and you're done. Well, we're pretty much finished with this. Tidy all up. This is how the car sits on the guesswork coilovers height adjustment. So it's probably going to settle more, but there's a lot of space between the arch and the rim. So if it drops a bit more, obviously I'll sort it out later once it settles. The front is a bit higher, but I don't have as much space in the front. Do have actually quite a bit. That might go lower. See what happens in a few days. That's what the car sits right now. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Any questions, feel free to ask. Hopefully this has been helpful in some way. I mean, I was pretty much learning as I went, so I haven't actually ever done a crown suspension before, and it was a bit funny in some ways. But yeah, we're here. Make sure to make a few more videos on this, mostly paint correction. Got front arms to replace, got front droppings to replace. I'm not sure if I'm going to film that, but we'll see. Anyway, see you around next time.